Okay, we are live.
All right. Call the meeting to order. Karen, can you do the roll call, please?
Yes. Sorry. Nancy,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Richard. He said he wasn't going to be able to make it. Sally,
Present.
Heather. You need to unmute.
Here.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Nancy, I did you. Jim,
Here.
can I get everybody?
All right. Do we have any amendments to the agenda for today's meeting? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Nancy, what'd you do to our screens?
Oh, I shared. How do I unshare?
I don't know.
Click
I
the
thought
share
that
button
was
again.
My own stuff.
There you
There
go.
we go. Now I just have Sally and can't see that agenda. I have
it
an
in front of
agenda
me.
though. I have a oh, huh? So do I.
All right.
I have a hard copy.
So can we vote?
Did we get a second?
Yeah, we got a second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do we have any amendments to the minutes from the previous meeting? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Do we have any public comments that are not related to items appearing on today's agenda? Hearing none, we'll move on to the consent calendar. We have an acceptance and scheduling of an application from Jay and Julie Anderson for a special use permit to allow the construction of a greenhouse, fence, and planter boxes in a portion of the right-of-way of Excel Street at 208 North 4th Street.
I have a question about that.
Mhm.
Is that right next to Kathy?
It's the old Haltner house on the corner.
Right, okay.
right.
This looks to me like the old Bailey house.
No, that's the church. They're on the one across the street.
The top picture?
No, it's not pictured. Just
That's the-
the dirt is.
Oh, okay.
It's Sid and Barrow Wright's old house.
That's
Okay, with the rock wall is where they want to
We
put.
know it as Fred Haltner's parents' house.
Okay.
Yes.
We old timers.
See, there's no picture of that.
I only go back as far as Sid and Vera, so.
It's okay.
Okay, well, I was afraid to drive by for fear of violating protocol. According to that meeting we were in, that orientation or training or whatever it was, so I just want to be sure. It's the old Haltner house.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
Well, what do we think about them building stuff in the right of way? That's already a pretty narrow street. It's 4th, right?
Actually, you guys, this is just to schedule it for the next meeting. We're not
Yeah.
taking action on it today.
So
Okay.
can we drive by it between now and the next meeting? We aren't supposed to drive by it?
If you're heading to the post office?
go on the property. I thought we could drive by, just not, get out and go on the property and look around and, right?
If you guys want a definitive answer on this, I can have the attorney join us for the next meeting. But if you're gonna go by, here's what the attorney will probably say is that if you go by as an individual and you have an action item before you, there is a possibility that you could see something that the rest of the commission does not see that might influence your decision. If you guys want to do a site visit, we would have to notice that you're going to be visiting this location, and then you would all go at the same time and see the same thing.
And could we talk about it
And
then?
that's the, legal procedure.
Okay, and if we were all there together, could we talk about it?
If it's it would be a noticed meeting
Oh, I see.
So
So
you'd all have to
anybody
be-
else?
there at the same time. Yeah. So I guess I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Basically.
No, I don't want to discuss it, but if I had a question,
No, the
Which
word
is why
fence
I'm
bothers
asking.
me.
So if you guys want to talk further about this, you should move this into a regular discussion item. Consent agenda is usually something that you don't discuss. If you want to discuss this
Yeah.
further,
I
then
do.
someone should object to having it on the consent agenda and move it into an action item.
frankly, I don't object to having it as on the consent agenda. I just don't want to ask questions or look at something. But mostly I was concerned about where it was. I wasn't sure. Now I know that it's across the street from the Haltner House.
No,
Across
It
Excel
is the
Street.
Haltner House.
It is, okay. Okay.
Okay.
Well, I'd kind of like to be able to discuss it because I don't like the word fence in there on city property. So
Well-
I don't know what we have to do.
Well, we can discuss it at the next meeting.
Yeah,
And
do it
we
then.
should have input from the Andersons at that meeting.
and I also need to send out my letters to the public so that it's a public
neighbors.
hearing.
Yeah.
I'm just scheduling it for the next meeting at this.
Yeah, so I think we schedule it for the next meeting. We do our discussion at that time.
That's good with me. I just think we need to talk about it a little bit.
Oh, yeah. So, so do we have a motion to schedule it for the next meeting?
As a discussion item. I so moved.
And I'll second.
Karen, can you do the roll call, please?
Jim,
She's muted.
She's muted.
Karen,
Jim,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Heather,
Yes.
Sally,
Yes,
and Chris.
yes. Okay, moving on to public hearing items. We have consideration of an application from Garrett P. Kravitz for variance from the required 20-foot setback along the right-of-way to allow construction of an 1,800 square foot garage 10 feet from the property line at 1300 Wrangell Avenue. Do we have any public comments on this? I saw there was one in the packet in favor. There was another email, but there was nothing there when I tried to open it.
I opened it.
Yeah,
got it.
Okay. Since I don't have a copy of that, can somebody read that in, please?
Sure, I can read it in.
Sure.
To the Planning Commission, and this is from Liz Cabrera. While we do not object to construction of a garage warehouse next door, we unfortunately cannot support granting a variance for the project. The lot is flat, already filled with shot rock, and has no unique physical characteristics to justify granting a variance. There are 3 streets surrounding the lot. 2 of the 3 streets along this parcel have no bearing on the buildable area of the property. The required front and rear setbacks are 20 feet regardless of whether there are platted streets. The lot is large by neighborhood standards, but the previous owner chose to subdivide the property in a way that narrowed the rear portion of the lot. This was his choice. A narrower lot. area. This information was available to any potential buyer prior to the purchase of the property. The Middleton Street right-of-way currently has 5 developed lots. All are corner lots and all adhere to the required street setbacks. Street side setbacks create a corridor that maintains the view for the uphill properties. Both our home and the Kravitz home benefit greatly from these setbacks by maximizing a view toward the water. We should in turn preserve this view corridor for the property owners that will someday develop the lots past our homes by maintaining the 20-foot setback along Middleton Street. Lastly, we note the purpose of the garage is to provide storage in the event the Kravitz are relocated and would like to return to visit. We would like to be assured that no portion of the garage warehouse will be converted to a sleeping room or apartment either by the current owners or future owners. The Kravitz are fine neighbors and we are fortunate to have them in our community. We support their effort to construct a garage warehouse that fits within the existing buildable area of their property and fits in with the scale of accessory buildings in the surrounding neighborhood. Thank you for your consideration of our comments. Sincerely, Jeff Rice and Liz Cabrera.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Doesn't the single family zoning already restrict there being in living quarters in an accessory building?
Yes. But I think it's becoming trendy to build a warehouse and put an apartment in it I've had a couple people ask me to do that. Not that these people have asked that question yet, but yeah, but if you couldn't do that because it would be two different buildings and two dwellings on the same lot.
Well, what about they already have a second dwelling in their original structure?
Well, they got a couple there in there as far as I know.
Yeah, so
Maybe.
me too, but didn't want to mention that second one. So they're already built they already have as many residential units on the property as they're allowed by zoning.
Or more thereof.
Um,
But yeah, no, that you're right, Nancy. They couldn't do that. I mean, they couldn't do that. And I as from experience, I say they couldn't do that. That doesn't necessarily mean that it won't happen.
Oh, sorry. Okay. We need a motion. I'll move to not allow this variance, or whatever it is. I guess it has to be positive. I will vote for, I so move.
We have a second?
I guess I'll second for purpose of discussion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, can we continue the discussion or do we have to start all over?
No, we can continue the discussion.
Joe, I think that was you.
What's that?
Who was discussing? Was it me?
Well, you were asking a question. We probably started discussing. You started discussing too soon. I just stated yes, there is a couple apartments in the dwelling already.
Yeah. It's the old Lon Marifern house.
What's that?
It's the old Lon Marifern house, and there always was a big apartment downstairs.
Yeah, but now I believe there's two apartments downstairs.
Ooh.
There are.
It's a small one. Does it have a kitchen like it's required to?
It had.
To be classed as
Okay,
a,
what? So actually, when I was moving here, that was one of the houses I looked at, and I never got to see those rooms because they had tenants.
Mm-hmm.
I think Veva lives in one of them.
yes.
Yeah.
I have some heartburn with the size of this thing. If it's just a little storage warehouse, 30 feet by 40 feet, that's pretty dang big.
It's twice as big as my house.
30 by 40 with a 20 by 30 carport in front of it,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you just love to look at that thing all day, Liz?
Well,
Sorry.
speaking of from this standpoint, there's really nothing. We don't have any tool to regulate size of an accessory building within residential zones. So you couldn't say no, he couldn't do it.
I thought there was a percentage that had to be left vacant in a lot.
Yeah, the size of this lot is such that you have to have 35. You can only cover 35% of your lot.
Yeah.
But looking at it, the size of this and the house and the deck, I think, being as how the lot's so big, he's under that 35%.
If we don't approve the variance, what happens? Back to the drawing board, or
He'd have to downsize it, I guess.
we'll have to go to Stocks on Main Street?
Yeah, no, I think it would have to be downsized on the Middleton side.
Also.
It was pointed, the funky shape of that lot was made up when when the previous owner and the owner abutting him made some sort of subdivision, they plotted it out like this, so wasn't always this narrow in the back.
I thought it was so they could both have egress to the backs of their property, but this kind of shoots that down.
I don't know what the whole reasoning was. I remember when I think it was Jim Martinson Sr. was the one that did the subdivision with him, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and there was some reasoning for distances between the lots. I don't know. I don't know what the reasoning is, and it really doesn't matter. But it was done. It was done legally, so they're still legal lots, but you couldn't. But it does get narrow in the back.
Okay, I have another question. It says conditions of approval as required. All three conditions must be satisfied. I only see two things checked there. Is there another, something else required that's not covered? This is one in the packet. Variance application is the title.
Page 11 of 19.
Yeah, page 11 has 3 of them, Nancy.
What's the third one?
Well, it's actually number 2, 3, and 4 are the 3. Two, 3, and 4 are the 3 conditions. Number 1 is just what they're asking for.
Oh, I see, okay.
Well, I have a confession to make. The fact that the third road is Valkyrie, I thought, wait a minute, that's over by Galphin and Coast Guard housing. So I did drive up to Liz's house today and looked back down with the map, turning it as I went, but I didn't get out of my car and I didn't talk to anybody. But I didn't realize that Valkyrie on the imaginary map went clear through the houses. Kind
It's
of,
not developed though, is it?
no,
And is Middleton
Well-
developed past there?
no, it stops over by Coast Guard housing by Galveston, I believe.
But how far past?
Middleton dead ends there, Nancy. Middleton dead ends at that, pretty much where the,
Valkyrie
Wrangell
doesn't really
Avenue.
exist.
yeah.
At Wrangell Avenue?
It might get filled as far as Valkyrie, if I'm not mistaken. Middleton Street, it's close. It's in there somewhere.
Uh-huh.
It'll never go
Mhm.
through.
No,
But is it developed going past this property?
no.
I had to get my magnifying glass out to look at the map. It's pretty tiny for old eyes.
I'm older than
Speaking
you.
as the neighboring property, it is developed, Middleton is developed up, like halfway up the property to our property line.
Yeah.
That it's,
Approximately a little bit beyond where that driveway is, correct?
Yeah,
Where the driveway is into this property?
so it's Middleton, and then the Middleton goes right onto our property. So
Yeah.
when you drive up our driveway, you're part of the time, the first half you're on Middleton, and then you are on our property.
And there's no real Valkyrie.
There's no Valkyrie, right?
Right.
And there's maybe, like if you were gonna extend Middleton, you'd have to do maybe, I would say at least 100 feet, because it would run next to our property. So from
Mhm.
where it's like halfway up that block.
So that part of Middleton that's developed starts from Wrangell Avenue or from Valkyrie?
From Wrangell Avenue up.
Middleton Street is filled from Wrangell Avenue to approximately, my guess, and correct me if I'm wrong, as the drawing shows that driveway going into this property, maybe about 20, 30 feet past that, maybe,
Maybe, yeah,
yeah.
right around
And
there.
that's the end, and it's just fill, it's not necessarily road or right of way, it's just kind of fill putting up there.
It's a special, yeah, it's just a special use permit for a driveway. It's not actually a borough street,
Right.
even though it's public, right?
Mhm.
Oh,
It seems that lot is large enough that that building could be positioned differently and still probably be able to fit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any further discussion? Questions, comments? Hearing none, let's move on to a roll call.
Mouse is here. Sally,
No.
Heather,
No,
Chris,
No.
Nancy,
Oh,
Jim,
No.
Okay.
You guys should, maybe some findings.
What?
Some findings of fact, maybe. Just
Okay.
something.
Well, I think that the building could be designed differently to fit within the setback requirements and still fit on that lot. What else do we need to have on there, Liz?
Well,
No, I agree. I think that he could still just bring it forward, turn it, and fit the space without needing a variance.
Even if you move the carport off to one side of that building, instead of having it in front of the building, it could be done.
And the findings of fact that you should look at item in the variance application, items 2, 3, and 4 kind of would be the questions you want to answer.
Yeah. Excuse me, I gotta find it in here.
right. I guess in findings of fact, we're saying that it doesn't really have that exceptional physical circumstance that it can't be placed differently. So that's one of our findings of fact. That answers 2.
Mm-hmm.
Where's Richard when we need him?
I don't really
Yeah.
see the hardship either, because he's got the property to be able to still have what he wants and just position it differently. So I don't know where the hardship that he's claiming comes in. So as a finding of fact is that we don't see a hardship based on how
Mm-hmm.
much property he has to work with.
Well, going back to number 2, you don't necessarily, it says, repair items, vehicles, blah, blah, blah. Who's to say you need that large of a storage area? Because that storage is bigger than his house.
I know, it's huge.
So if he can fit the stuff in his house, he doesn't need that big of, that big of an area. Because if he's saying he needs it large because of the financial hardship, he's contradicting himself, because then that would get in the question of why do you need it that big? Because the reason why he's asking for the variance, obviously, is because he wants as large a thing as he can build, but he can still put it forward. I'm just talking in circles, but
and I don't know if this observation should have been included in the discussion portion, but how it's laid out now, the driveway, the carport is convenient to the driveway, and changing it around might cause the financial hardship. Anyway.
I think if he moves it over to where it would fit, it'd be closer to the house and it'd be on more of a pad that's already developed, from what I see. So actually, I think it'd cost less if you don't have to make as big of a pad. But
Pad's already there.
yeah, well,
not where this building is proposed to be built back there. That whole pad isn't there yet, I don't believe.
It looked pretty paddy to me this morning.
There's quite a bit of rock there, but that's the area, I believe, between the house and this, it probably, the pad probably goes about as far as where the carport is, or at least in that area. Doesn't go back all the way to that back corner, if I remember right. It's been a while since I've been up there.
Yeah, there was like a boat and 3 cars there this morning.
I believe that's why
Well-
he wants this big a
Was
space.
that
is
where
to store
in the
for.
front where the current carport is?
Joe,
Those cars?
I was just gonna say, I think, didn't they change their mind on the carport and then decide just to make one big warehouse?
The picture just shows a warehouse construction thing, of explosion
think-
view.
Wasn't the original plan a warehouse with a carport in front, but then in the end, what he sent was just plans for,
I've got one drawing in here with the carport in
I
Yeah, the
think
hand
that's,
drawn.
yeah,
I don't remember that, Liz,
no, okay.
but that doesn't mean it's not true. There's a lot of stuff I don't remember.
it. Page 13 shows it with the carport, page 14 shows it without. So, and then the drawings that are here don't have a carport, so.
Right. See, I think he originally thought carport, and then when he sent us the drawings, decided that it was just gonna be all warehouse. So that's
Well, I
the
want-
1,800 square foot warehouse. So it's just one big building.
Well, we don't know that though. Based on what he gave us, we have to go by that.
Yeah, no, I'm just
Yeah,
letting you know that I think that,
Oh, yeah, okay.
it would make more sense to just
Well-
have the one building. It would fit if he scooched it forward where the carport is.
Again, I'm back. Again, I believe you're right. It's the latest plans I got appear to be a 60 by 30 building instead of a 40 by 30 and a, so,
it's basically the same footprint, but it's just all.
yeah.
It's just all shop.
So is he gonna run a business out of there? It's not zoned for that, is it?
No, well, that's not allowed.
Is a second story gonna be allowed later without any applications for anything?
It's already pretty tall. It's that you couldn't add a second. It's a metal building. You really can't add on up on that.
Okay.
Internally, you could build something.
A loft.
Yeah.
Well, it'd be nice if we knew which plan was actually gonna be instituted, but we've already voted it down, so I guess it's up to him to reapply with the correct information.
Or with a change of plans.
Well, is there any more?
I have a question about number 3, the hardship to neighboring. Did, for the findings of fact, could I have somebody reiterate those 3?
So you want have you got 2 and 4 for findings of fact, Karen?
No, I have none on 1. 2, I have structures can be repositioned and the storage portion could be reduced, and that's it.
Okay.
I don't see punitive hardship. I think that we've already kind of addressed it when we answered 2 by saying that he just could move it. He's got the property to move it. So the punitive hardship goes away. It's still an allowable thing if you just placed it differently.
Now, while there's an odd lot shape and a lot of right of way, because of right of way on 3 sides, that's still a large lot. So there's plenty of room to be able to relocate it and make something work. So
So was Mr. Kravitz not available for this?
I have not heard from him.
Okay.
So for number 4 in Liz's letter, did she kind of like touch on that would there be any hardships or prejudice to neighbors? Well, I guess if you were hoping to enjoy the views that everybody has in the neighborhood, but you bought or owned the property that large building was, obstructing some of that view. He snagged it closer to his own home, and I don't know. Her letter did touch on how it might affect views for other people down the line.
Well, you'd be narrowing up the right of way that would then block some of the view. So yeah, it would cause hardship to properties behind that property.
It's not going to be a subtle site either. It's a large building.
Bigger than the house.
What if it's red? Which I love, but
Or orange.
yeah.
It'd be nice if there was better dimensions on this, but
Which dimensions do you need, Chris?
well, it doesn't really show the length of it, but I guess I'm seeing here the height of it's 18 feet at the eaves.
Correct.
So it's a tall building.
And it's, as I said, it's a 60 by 40 building, essentially, whether it,
Well, that's larger than what he was asking for. He was asking for 1,800. That's 2,400.
It's
So what's
30,
the real
30
deal?
wide,
60 by 30, excuse me,
60 by 30, yeah. Okay,
with 18-foot tall eaves, and it's a shallow pitched roof, so at the peak, it wouldn't be much, it would be 30, so 15 feet, 2 foot, only another couple feet at the eaves.
at the peak, yeah.
So it's 30, yeah.
That's still a tall building.
A lot of snow falling off that roof
It'll all be on his property, though.
Yeah.
and in the right of way.
No, he's still 10 feet from the right of way. But not 20.
Will the building be heated?
We haven't got that far yet.
Uh,
I mean, I don't,
Have we covered, what are we missing, Karen, as far as covering findings of fact?
She's muted again.
I don't know. I don't think she's trying to say anything.
I just want to see what else do we need?
I have no exceptional physical circumstances on the lot, that he has the space that he wants, so they don't see the hardship, and that it could be accommodated without the variance, is what I have.
Do we need more than that?
And then there was the comment about the how it could impact views on future on the rear lots if they were developed.
And would the changing the position of the house, turning it sideways or the structure sideways, would that impair the view of neighbors even more?
I think it would block less because it'd be right behind the house, which is already blocking the view.
Just be careful what you ask for.
I
So,
think the idea for the view is that you're maintaining the 20 feet along the
Yeah.
road, right? So then people can, like all over town, you drive down a street and you pretty much get a clear view down the street because those setbacks have been maintained. So
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah.
you can't really micromanage what people,
Right.
everything at all, and that's fine, but
so I want to apologize. I thought you were asking if you had enough. But for the findings of facts, I have that 1 is none, 2 is structures can be repositioned and the storage portion could be reduced. 3, no hardships are apparent as the lot is already large enough to build. And 4, it would impede neighboring views due to its large size.
Okay,
But he's allowed to have a structure that size though, right? So do we weigh in on that? Or is it just that we can weigh in on where, why the variance would be?
it's where he wanted to put that large building.
Where?
Right.
Okay, okay, I'll change that.
I don't think you dictate the size of it. If it fits, and doesn't cover too much of the percentage of the lot, right?
I don't think so. No, I think we figured that out. He still has enough.
Yeah.
Free space. But if that becomes an issue, it wouldn't hurt if you delved into limiting size of accessory structures in residential zones. That could be another topic you could take up some other time, but not now.
Yeah. All right. If we have no more on that one, let's move on to non-agenda items. Do we have any commissioner comments? Hearing none. Staff comments?
I don't know if you picked up on what Joe was saying, but he's basically telling you that if you want to take up the accessory building issue, to wait till after he retires.
I kind of figured he was waiting till after he retired.
You caught that one, huh?
Yeah.
So, in regards to our next meeting, is everybody available?
I should be available.
You will not?
Is this
Should
going to
be.
include driving by the old Haltner property, or?
We should probably
Anyway.
do that before the meeting.
If we're going to. I just want to know if this schedule includes that.
Oh, not at this point. It does not.
Okay, thank you.
So, you guys were kind of talking at the same time. Chris, did you say that you would be or would not?
I'll be available via Zoom.
Right.
Yeah.
And Jim?
Yes, I will.
Nancy?
As far as I know,
Sally?
Yep, as far as I know.
And Heather?
Think so.
Okay. Thank you.
Just one other question. I think gradually we're going to get back to in-person meetings. And I wondered, I don't know if we want to try and do a hybrid in the future, because I know that's always been an issue with quorums and things, where we could allow some people to join via Zoom and still count towards the quorum, because currently we don't have that option. In order to do that, we would have to amend the ordinance to allow for it. So I don't need an answer right now, but if that's the direction you guys want to go, so that, if you're traveling or if the applicant is traveling, we could still, well, actually, if you guys were traveling, so we would still have a quorum and people could call in. If that's then something that you want me to try and pursue, we could look at that. But
I think that'd be worthwhile.
I do too.
does it just include deal with us, allowing a Zoom for a quorum? Or
yeah,
is
that's
it all?
No, I would just do it for the planning commission. And the reason being, it's not prohibited per se, but the attorney said since we've never done it that way, then we have to change the ordinance in order to start doing it that way.
It's a new world. I
Yeah.
kind of like this Zooming business.
Well, it's very convenient for volunteers, I think, because you don't have to go across town or rearrange your whole schedule just to participate. And I sort of can see that benefit. It just makes it more convenient for you guys. You're the one volunteering your time, so.
Plus we're face to face. I mean, at our meeting, we don't, look down the row except just to turn our head or something, but I kind of like Zoom meetings.
I like that it gives people the option that if they are traveling, they can still make the meeting.
Yeah, and then the nice thing about this is if we were to get information at the meeting, we can do the share screen so everyone could see it.
Yeah.
Yep.
that was on. So
If you're capable of doing that, Liz.
if you're capable of doing that.
I was trying, I've been, that's why I've been silent here. I've been trying to send this picture of the latest, the building profile, but I haven't had much luck and looks like I'm running out of time.
There's
You
a
don't
little
send
green
it, you just
square
hit
at the
screen.
bottom.
Yeah, you just hit the, where it says green. where it
Yeah,
says-
but I can't, I have to take a picture of it first
Well,
and then put it on the screen somehow. I did it before with that, when we did it with
Yeah, you
what picture was that I shared before? Oh, the parking at the Vackerstad. I was able to do that one. But I can't remember how I did it, so. Told you I forget things, but
Time to retire, Joe.
And we're
moved.
past that.
yeah, I'll work on that after I retire.
Okay, well, I will see what it would take to try and make that happen.
Thank you,
And,
Liz. I think it'd be great for option.
Yeah, because I've noticed that we haven't had a problem with quorum. Since,
Well, I think the biggest problem would be somebody who wanted to come and testify to us in person and have us sitting there, at a public hearing. I can understand that, so.
Well, if I may, things are changing here in the Assembly chambers where there's going to be video of the chambers so that if somebody were in here, I could also have them sit in my place so that they could see you. So there's ways we can work on that.
yeah,
Okay.
and I would think we could do hybrid where some people were in the room and then we could turn the computer on and then whoever's on Zoom, we would have on the screen participating that way. Or maybe I'm being too ambitious on that, but I think that we would be able to do that. So,
And something else that we might be able to do is put it through the projectors, I think.
what was that?
Because you can project, you can take what's on a computer and,
Right, we would project the Zoom
right?
onto the screen. And so if there was one or two people on the Zoom, we would project them onto the screen and then you'd have a few people in the room so you could all see each other.
Yeah.
Beyond my pay grade.
I might be overthinking it, but
I think it's a good idea because eventually for my job, I'll start traveling. And I'm having to do the same thing for my shareholders meeting, what you're talking about, Liz, so it is possible.
Well,
Okay.
even if I were to travel, doesn't make any difference. I don't have a smartphone, and my little dinosaur cell phone is just for travel, for actual driving on a freeway. So I'm out of touch, totally out of contact when I travel, which I don't do much of. So it's something to think of.
All right, well, our next meeting is going to be via Zoom again on May 11th at noon. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
All in favor?
Bye.
Aye.
oh, and just FYI, we have 4 agenda items already for that May meeting. So
Plan for a longer one?
I don't see anything too complicated, but you guys still have to get through 4 of them. So,
Okay.
okay.
Karen,
Yes.
will everything for the next meeting, all 4 of these items be on?